This is Behind the Headlines, with behind-the-scenes analysis on issues affecting Pennsylvanians, sponsored by the Susquehanna Valley Center for Public Policy. Now, here's your host.
Hi, welcome to Behind the Headlines. I'm Maura Donnelly. Your host for today, Charlie Greenewalt, is on assignment, but I'm very fortunate to have Jerry Strittmatter with us, who is an associate of the Susquehanna Valley Center for Public Policy. So thank you for being here, Jerry.
Oh, thank you, Maura. Looking forward to it.
You're my favorite pinch hitter.
I always learn a lot, so I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, it is. It's always a learning opportunity. So we're very happy to have back one of our favorite guests, Dave Sanko, who's the Executive Director of the State Association of Township Supervisors. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation.
Well, we're really happy to talk about one of your biggest things of the year, but let's start with, just for some of our viewers who don't know, what is the State Association of Township Supervisors?
Okay. We're kind of a member service organization to help all the townships, the elected township officials, learn how to do their jobs easier, better, smarter, and to provide affordable government, keep taxes low, and quality services.
Is that all? Sounds like an awful lot. You have one of your best opportunities coming up for your township supervisors to come into Hershey, Pennsylvania, and learn a lot from their peers, from professionals. So tell us a little bit about your upcoming conference.
So our conference in Hershey is really the premier local government conference in Pennsylvania. It's the largest municipal exhibit show. We have the classes, learning opportunities from both professional, state and federal agency folks. We have an exhibit show that really gives people the opportunity to kind of shop for all kinds of things. If they had to visit each one of those exhibitors on their own, it would probably take them a year.
Well, what do township supervisors shop for? Tell me.
They can GIS programs,
Okay.
snow plows, lawnmowers,
So we can get that big.
park and
Garbage
rec
trucks.
creation,
Garbage trucks,
garbage
okay,
trucks, street
yeah.
sweepers. All of those things are there and more.
On display.
They are on display.
That's awesome.
It's some refer to it as the Tonka Toy Convention.
Shovels for everyone.
Shovels. How many years have you been having this conference?
It's been going on since 1923, so it's 102 years.
Wow, that's
And
huge.
for our viewers, this is a person as our guest that really is Mr. State Government, and so your township supervisors and also commissioners, first class, are really in for a treat to come and be educated by Mr. Pennsylvania here.
Well, I think one of the things that we like about doing it is, and I think it's one of the reasons why Pennsylvanians trust their local government, oftentimes more than their federal government or state government, because it's in touch, it's local in their community. They can go to their meetings, visit, knock on the doors, and we try and give them the tools and resources to be able to handle those responses.
And the number of local governments, I think it's really good because it keeps government close to the people, and so everyone knows their township commissioners and their township supervisors. Right. What is that number now?
In Pennsylvania, there are 2,500 municipalities, but townships represent 1,453. Mm-hmm. So 1,453.
And how many people come to your conference?
We'll have close to 4,000.
Oh, wow. That's huge.
It is again, I think the largest municipal show in the state, and 4,000 folks, 4,000 of our closest friends come to town. And have great networking opportunities, great learning opportunities, and I've never met anybody who hasn't left there with an idea or multiple ideas that saved them money and made them more efficient and effective back home.
What kind of workshops do you plan for this year for your attendees?
Our workshops break down into 4 general categories. We have a public works section, which can include roads and bridges and stormwater and recreation. We have a public safety, which is fire, police, and EMS, and emergency management. We have a planning and zoning section, which deals with land use planning, housing challenges, warehouses, solar fields, all those kinds of things that are done at the local level. And then finally, administration, which deals with budget and finance and fraud prevention and GIS, technology, how to run public meetings, personnel, human resources, because whether you have one employee or 100 employees, you have personnel
Payroll.
challenges. Payroll.
Yes, yeah, payroll.
Well, that's good to know that our local officials can then train our state officials and our federal officials on how to do things properly. So,
We invite state and federal officials to present, but we are always hopeful that when they're there, a lot of people talk about getting stuff done, and that they can come there and see folks who get stuff done every day.
right, because I know our viewers are interested in that, at the federal level, all those
Sure.
changes and all those things coming back down to the state level, which means it comes down, to our supervisors and commissioners. So,
Right.
so thank you very much for doing that.
They do a great job.
Do you have any big keynote speakers?
We have actually a professional coach, Mike Staver, who talks about leadership is not for cowards. Is what we're going to be hearing mostly about, and how local officials can take advantage of those skills, and some of his tips to become better local officials.
Don't you have a large legislative reception or some sort of opportunity for your members to interact with them?
We do.
Engage with them?
On Tuesday evening, we'll have a legislative reception. We already have more legislators signed up and committed to come this year than have come in any prior year.
And this is bipartisan, correct?
It is bipartisan.
Absolutely, yeah.
We'll have a presentation, actually, in our general session. The four chairs of the local governments committees, so from the House and the Senate, Republican and Democrat, the four premier leaders who work on local government issues will be on a roundtable forum. We're also going to do a kind of a special forum on EMS and the challenges that are presented with that. And we're going to try and do it a little differently this year, rather than hearing from folks in Harrisburg or the experts in Harrisburg about, how to do it. We're going to bring in 4 different models that have been put in place in different communities and give examples and samples of what works and what doesn't, rather than hearing the textbook reasons why you can't do things.
Is there some way that you can make us less litigious? Is there, some ways you can work with the legal community and those people that are always frustrated in order to keep things moving more smoothly?
We have a solicitors association. We work with folks in the legal community and are ever hopeful that we can get to that point. But as long as we're in a very litigious society, that becomes that's a challenge bigger than anybody I know.
So tell us where people can find out more information, if there's availability still to be an exhibitor or an attendee.
Okay, so there are...
Give us the dates. I don't think we did that.
The dates, we're going to be in Hershey on May 4 through May 7.
Okay.
It's usually in April, so March Madness for us is usually about the 30 days going into our conference. This year, because of Easter and Passover, we're going to be a little bit later, so it's May 4 through 7.
Okay.
You can find out information about it at conference.psats.org, or go to PSAT's website, which is psats.org. Registration is still open.
Great.
And the exhibit show, we are building a waiting list because all of our existing space has been reserved.
That's a great position to
sold
be
out.
in.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Congratulations. We wish you great success this year, and we'd like to thank you very much for being with us today to give us all the details of your upcoming conference.
Great. Thanks for the
so much,
opportunity.
Dave.
Yeah, wish
Thanks,
you well.
Jerry.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We'll be back with another segment of Behind the Headlines.
Behind the Headlines is brought to you as a public service by the Pennsylvania State Association of Township Supervisors, the largest, most influential municipal association in the Commonwealth. Since 1921, PSATS has been preserving and strengthening township government and securing greater visibility and involvement for townships in the state and federal political arenas. Covering 95% of Pennsylvania's land mass, townships represent 5.5 million residents, more than any other type of political subdivision in Pennsylvania. Additional underwriting provided by the Edward H. and Jeannie Arnold Foundation, and by the Pennsylvania Manufacturers Association. Business in Pennsylvania is our business. Behind the Headlines is also supported as a public service by the Pennsylvania Highway Information Association, the go-to source to learn about transportation projects and issues. Visit pahighwayinfo.org.
Hi, welcome back. On this segment of Behind the Headlines, Jerry and I are going to be joined by Mr. Greg Moreland, who is the State Director of the National Federation of Independent Businesses here in Pennsylvania. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
we haven't had you on in a while, so why don't you start by telling us a little bit about NFIB Pennsylvania, maybe even NFIB National.
Absolutely.
And how you fit into the national organization.
For sure. We are one big component of our national organization. We are a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated solely to representing the interests of small business owners, small independent business owners, non-publicly traded companies. So think of your Main Street, your mom and pop shop. Those are our typical members. Our members have about 10 employees on average. And so the federal definition of small business is 500. We're much smaller than that. I don't think 500 really is a small business. You know, the pizza shop on Main Street that has 3 generations of family members working in it, that's truly the small business that we represent. And so we are a national organization, represent about 300,000 members nationwide, have about 13,000 here in the Commonwealth, and we have a great world-renowned research center. We have a fantastic legal center in which we push back on a lot of government actions at the federal level and even at the state level as well. And so we are engaged in multiple facets of ensuring that our members have the rights and the opportunity to own, operate, and grow their business.
You know, to let our viewers know, this is a person who has a lot of experience in state government, and all of you who have small businesses, you know, that are viewing this today, you should be signing up, you know, with you because you
Absolutely.
gain a lot. And one of those special interests now is what happened last year with the fiscal code.
Sure.
That it snuck in.
Yeah.
That this thing that can hurt you, you know, the viewers, you know, and business owners when they're investigating you. And so it's at 1602U.
Yes, section 1602-U. And I have not, in about 3 months of investigations now, I have not figured out who put this into the fiscal code. And ironically, I've not met one Republican that has known this was in the fiscal code prior to the vote, which is scary, right? When there is legislation being voted on and it is omnibus and large, right, and hundreds of pages.
Well,
right?
when you read that section, it just seems sort of natural. It would be,
Sure.
okay, those troublemakers should be paying, you know, so the taxpayers don't have to pay, you know, to do
Absolutely.
that. And it just seems, you know, like, oh, this is just like common sense. However, you found out that some of
In
your
practice,
business
Yes,
you know,
it
owners,
is the practice of that. And what
Yeah.
that new section did in the fiscal code is it allowed the Attorney General's office to recoup investigative time for investigations when they're going after folks for consumer protection investigations.
Can I just get a clarification before you go on? Recoup from whom?
From the business
From the
owner.
business owner.
From the
Okay, I
business
think that's
owner.
important.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what we're talking about here is a state agency funded by state taxpayer dollars investigating a business owner here in the Commonwealth who is also a taxpayer and paying essentially for their investigation through their tax contributions, right? But the application of it now has turned into an extortion mechanism. And we have found that especially between the time frame of November 5th to January 20th, I'll leave that open to interpretation, what happened in that time period. But between those dates, we had a lot of businesses that were being confronted by the Attorney General's office and extorted. And here's how it went down. They would come and they would say, we believe that you violated X provision, and this is going to carry a $20,000 fine, right? We want you to settle this right now here on the spot. If you do not, we will continue our investigation. We will probably put in about 200 hours of investigative time into this process. That investigative time is going to be far greater than the penalty, the fiscal penalty that you're going to pay. We're also going to go after you for court costs as well. And in the provision in the fiscal code, it doesn't state whether or not the Attorney General even has to prevail in the case. So essentially, you could be found not liable, not responsible, but you are still left on the hook to pay for the investigative time that it took the Attorney General to come in and investigate you. Some of the folks in the Consumer Protection Bureau at the Attorney General's office are under a microscope at this time due to this practice.
Wow.
We have discussed this with the new Attorney General, Dave Sunday, and he is not a big fan. Not a big fan of extorting our businesses into compliance. I think the real goal at the end of the day should be, here are the set of rules, here are the set of regulations, please follow. If you're not following, we come in, we do some remedial education, get you back on the right course, and send you back out to be a contributing taxpayer.
What's the plan?
We're going to try to get that repealed.
Okay.
Absolutely. That is one of our biggest goals.
Is it going to be a full repeal, or are you going to try to clarify?
Nope, we want Section 1602-U to
Gone.
be completely repealed
Okay.
in its entirety.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's the only way to protect our businesses from this manipulative, extortionary strategy, because the government has the upper hand.
Did
every
this come
time.
up in the budget discussions that are going on?
You would think it would have came up in the budget discussions last year, but it didn't, because it was
How about
added.
this year? You know-
It was added at the very last minute last year, and no one knew it was in there.
How about this year?
This year will be a main focus. Every single person I have spoken with in the House or the Senate is interested in seeing this disappear. I don't have any belief that the House majority party will carry this and repeal it. But we will put this down for the Senate Republicans, I believe, to carry into the fiscal code. And
Do you know where it came from, and do you think they anticipated that it would turn into an extortion scheme?
we don't know where it came from
Okay.
exactly. I think I can in theory point to where it came from in general, but any one individual I can't point to.
Okay.
Look, small businesses are often fighting with attorneys. Right?
Okay.
Attorneys like to target small businesses because they understand that small businesses don't have their own legal department. They're going to have
No
to go out
resources.
and they're going to have to go out and hire someone, and it's going to cost a lot of money. And they see them as an easy target. I think I think this language has multiplied that effect, and so we're going to look for a full repeal, and we're going to look for a regular relationship with the Attorney General's office and a compliance focused. It shouldn't be the goal of any state agency to pull in a certain dollar figure in fines and fees at the end of the year, right? The real goal should be $0 in fines and fees and 100% compliance.
Yep.
Right? Because then you still have a business that's still paying tax dollars to the Commonwealth, still employing our neighbors. Right? That's the goal. Employable folks, tax dollars, and a business that serves the community. That's not what we're getting with this new provision, and small businesses are unfortunately being made the targets.
Well, that's good, because hopefully there's going to be more and more small businesses that can, you can help them.
Absolutely.
With this, because with the economy of taking the federal government, passing that down to the state, and hopefully then the state is going to be passing that down, to the local governments.
Absolutely.
Where it's best to hash out any problems that are there. That it's good that you're on top of this. And what are some of the other things that people who are viewing that didn't know about you before, that they should know about now?
Sure.
You've been testifying recently.
Yeah, we
share that
testified.
with us.
I testified about a week or two ago before the Energy Committee in the House on, I believe it's House Bill 660, which would effectively enhance the efficiency standards of commercial appliance products. And I sat there and I listened to the testimony, and I think the underlying belief is good, is that we do want efficient products, right? But what we don't want, and what this bill does, is it limits the free market. Right? These products are already available on the marketplace. What this bill would have done is said, if you don't meet a certain standard, you can't be sold here in the Commonwealth. It puts the heavy hand of government right into the free market and says that, and the girl that was testifying next to me, and I think it was like the Environmental Defense Fund or one of those organizations, essentially, and I'm going to paraphrase, but she essentially said, consumers are busy. They have too many other things going on. Government knows best.
Oh, no.
And we're going to protect them by making the choice as easy as possible by not offering those other products that we don't like.
So what are these other products? I mean, I recently bought a washer and dryer, and they
Oh,
were
yeah.
all energy efficient. I
Yeah.
mean, how much more energy efficient are they expecting?
How
How does that work?
It's a great question because these efforts are already being done at the federal
Yeah.
level. So when we have a patchwork of, well, you can go to the Pennsylvania and you can't get this product, but you can go over to Ohio and get this product.
Oh,
you know,
we're gonna have bootleg
that's what I told
toasters.
them. I said, what you're going to do is force all my business owners to go to Ohio and purchase their stuff and bring it back, and then you're going to lose the sales tax
Right.
revenue on those products here in the Commonwealth. This is everything from commercial boilers to urinals and faucets for washing your hands.
Oh, goodness.
And I think we've all been to a hotel and you wake up, the next morning and you're like, oh, I'm going to get a great shower. I'm away from the kids after a night and I'm going to get this long, nice hot shower.
Yeah,
And
no.
you turn on the water and it dribbles out. And you're like, what is this?
Yeah.
Oh, come to find out they had some energy efficiency, nozzle on there that's restricting the flow. And so it was about 17 different commercial items that they wanted to restrict the sale of. These items are already out there on the market.
Yeah.
If these items are so great and they're saving folks money, and that's their big stick, is it's going to save everyone money. Well, if they're going to save business owners money, then our business owners are going to rush out and get them if they work efficiently and effectively. But they're not rushing out to get them. And I think there's a reason why.
Yeah.
Is their appliances currently work the way they want them to work. Their customers understand that their experience isn't going to be modified or changed. Customers want to go back. If that steak tasted the same way, the way it did the first time, they want it to taste the same way the second time. But if you had to go from a gas stove to an electric stove, or what about the dishwasher? I when I growing up, putting dishes in the dishwasher used to take 30 minutes, 40 minutes max. They were washed, they were dried, and mom would get them out and put them back away. I put it on the other night, and it's almost 3 hours.
Mine's 4 hours and 15 minutes.
I don't know what
How
they're
is that
doing.
energy efficient?
I don't know what they're doing in there. I don't know if there's a little man in there scrubbing them or what. But,
Yeah.
but it takes a lot longer.
Yeah.
What does that do in a commercial setting? Do you have all of the glassware and silverware and everything that you need to redo the next table and the next table, or are these new dishwashers now going to take an hour to do what took 2 minutes before?
We live in crazy times, Jerry.
It certainly is. And
Yeah.
so it's good that the people have you and your organization there.
They
And-
keep us
and-
busy in the
and-
General
and to
Assembly.
get in touch with you, what's your website? And
Yeah.
we'll put that.
Yeah,
up on here.
NFIB.com/Pennsylvania is our direct Pennsylvania website where you can get all of our e-news. You can sign up for our e-newsletter. You don't even have to be a member to sign up for the e-newsletter. We have a great legal center and research center that we provide a lot of data on the history and where the state of small business stands. Over 50 years, you have access to a lot of that information to better understand the economy and what's going on around you. And so NFIB.com/Pennsylvania is our website where you can find all of our good information.
Yeah, great, because there's a lot of people that have small businesses in their home now, in order
Absolutely.
to try to stay ahead of the bills,
Yeah.
and that if they did it more formally, you can just set up a fictitious name without filling out anything else, as long as your name's in it.
Sure thing, yeah.
Then you can do that, and then do things more properly.
Oh, yeah.
And that will grow the economy and help everyone. So
Yeah.
having all that information, for all of our families out there will be really
We are monitoring everything that goes on both at the state and the federal level. We have a fantastically engaged federal team as well, working really hard on extending the 20% small business tax deduction. We were the main plaintiff in the case for the beneficial ownership information and fighting back against that. Thankfully, the Trump administration has gone forward and they're not enforcing any penalties associated with the beneficial ownership information, and so that's not a compliance burden that our folks are going to have to deal with. But regulations and regulatory relief and keeping up with the ever-changing landscape of the legislature is really difficult for a business owner, and so that's where organizations like NFIB come into play, where that is our role. Right, that is 100% our job, is to advocate on their behalf and to ensure that they're staying up to date with the changing landscape.
How many regulations are put upon business right
So,
now?
Right, and in 2023, there are 166,219 individual regulations placed on the business environment. We were about 22% higher than the average state in the country.
Do you have any hope, based on what's happening at the federal level, that those might be reduced dramatically?
Federally, I'm very excited to see where the direction of reducing regulatory burdens goes. On the state level, I would like to say I'm hopeful. Governor Josh Shapiro has touted regulatory reform, permitting reform, but we don't necessarily see anything occurring on the regulatory front. We're still having folks call in and say they have environmental permits that have been languishing in somebody's office for quite some time, and we're doing a lot of contacting of DEP and other organizations to figure out where some permits are. A lot of local governments dragging their feet on some of our folks and their permits to build out some of their businesses, especially down in Amish country. And so we're working with our Amish Mennonite population as well, because they're at a technological disadvantage. They can't just Google something automatically. And so we're the work through and helping them really understand where the regulations are.
Just quickly, are you hearing from any of your members on the hard to avoid tariff issues?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet, actually. I think many of our members understand the long-term vision that President Trump has in that administration, and that many countries have been taking advantage of the United States for many years, and it's time that we come back to the table and we say, if you're going to do it to us, then we're going to do it to you. We can eliminate this completely by dropping the tariffs on both sides completely, or you can just come back to the United States and make your products here back in the United States. Many of our small businesses are spurred off of large businesses coming back to the United States or opening a new plant in those communities. People move to those communities. They need a gas station, a dry cleaner, a pizza shop, right? And so rehoming many of those organizations from overseas is going to have a dramatic impact on bolstering the small business market here in the country.
Revitalize our communities.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It'd be great. Well, any other big issues coming along? We have to wind up here, sadly, but
No. I think we're just out there monitoring and certainly have some concerns about the budget this year and the overall spend number. We have been growing government at a rate that is unsustainable. The spending, you cannot continue deficit spending. If we did that in our own households, we would eventually be without a house, because the creditors would come and take that house, because you cannot spend money you do not have. It's not a novel concept. It's a pretty elementary concept. You can't drain the rainy day fund and expect taxes not to be impacted. And so that's what we're up against. We're advocating for fiscal responsibility and limited government. And so hopefully the legislators hear us across the street. If they don't, then we will make sure they hear us, for sure.
well, we are
Thank
so
you.
happy to have you here today. Thank you so much for all your insights. We look forward to getting an update from you at a later time.
Absolutely. Thank you for having
Yeah,
us.
appreciate it very much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Jerry. And we'll see you next time on another episode of Behind the Headlines.